Oh, what's up, everybody? It's your favorite FPL YouTubers back at it with another game week preview and analysis video. This time for the final game week of the season, game week 38. Lots of exciting storylines, lots of great points potential. It should definitely be a good one. I'm Jarrett,
I'm Evan.
and this is How to FPL.
Yeah, welcome, guys. And as Jarrett said, we've got a great, exciting week lined up. And the other thing we just want to say is that we're ending our debut season here, and it's been a great ride, a fun ride. And we just want to thank all you guys, everybody who has subscribed, who has watched one of our videos, who has shared, liked, commented, interacted with us on Twitter. We really appreciate it. And we're going to deliver much more exciting content for you in the coming seasons. So we're just looking forward to it. And again, thank you.
Much appreciated, everybody. Let's get right into it. So, to say that I had a good free hit is a bit of an understatement here. I kind of went with a high risk, high reward strategy of getting a triple Leicester attack, and it really paid off, to be totally honest. I got some really good hauls from Madison, Richarlison, Vardy, and Barnes, and really the only downside of the game week for me was my captain choice, which I can never seem to get right, unfortunately. But my rank went way up. I'm up to inside the top 35k now, and so I would say my free hit was great success.
Very nice. Yeah, I think obviously the same. And I think it's an interesting free hit week in the sense that normally, well, I guess an interesting double game week in the sense that I think the theme of this season, and we talked about this last week, was that a lot of times double game weekers can be traps. And so I think a lot of people, including myself, came into this week with that mindset that, yeah, Leicester have a double game week, Everton have a double game week, but they're probably just going to be disappointments like Burnley were for 3 weeks in a row and, stuff like that, which didn't turn out to be the case. So I think that you clearly made a great decision in hindsight, but it was definitely, maybe not so clear going into it.
Yeah,
But
I think
again,
maybe a lesson to take away is that you really do need to consider how many competitions a team is in. Basically, like Leicester they've been struggling for a lot of this season, but they had just gotten knocked out of the Conference League. And we know that Leicester have a good attack, and Jamie Vardy was back. And so they could play their strongest 11. Didn't really have to worry too much about rotation, besides rotation within the Premier League. And so, yeah, I mean, obviously paid off, and that could be a learning point going forward.
yeah, absolutely.
Cool,
Um,
let's take a look at your team.
all right. Oh, yeah. So I had a disappointing game week, to say the least. My rank dropped a solid 25k, not fun, and I wasn't a free hitter. It unfortunately I chose to use my free hit back in, I think it was game week 35, 34, which turned out to be a fail that week. And to top it all off, the week that I would have used it if I didn't use it then would have been this week, which would have paid off much more. But hey, that's hindsight. Um, I got obviously I have the Richarlison points, the Kane points. That's nice, but outside of that, my team more or less just crapped the bed. Richarlison didn't play, which meant White got auto subbed in for a -2 with his own goal. You know, Cash was one of my transfers in who didn't end up delivering on any returns this week. And KDB was my other transfer in. Again, no returns. in hindsight, definitely would have been the move to bring in a Madison or a Barnes. But again, in other game weeks, sticking with the tried and true premium mids was the route to the points when the lesser teams have double game weeks, but that wasn't the case this week. So my chances of coming anywhere close to the top 10K are completely dashed, but that's okay. I'm
That's
looking.
okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Um, I would definitely say that you got pretty unlucky in the last game week. Robertson not playing at all, very unlucky. Arsenal just deciding not to show up, very unlucky. Cash, for example, I know had multiple goal scoring opportunities that he just skied over the bar. And so, sometimes it happens.
Yep, we move on. And with that, let's move on to an overview for what we're looking at for the coming game week. So there's a lot of stuff on people's minds this week, and we just want to give you a brief little glimpse into what we're going to be talking about this video. So if any of these questions are in your mind, stick around for the rest of the video to find out what we have to say about them. We're going to talk about, we have three separate sort of battles going on in the table. So we have the title race going on, which is still very much on. The fight for fourth is also there. And then there's still a relegation battle going on. So things are going to really come down to the wire here. And we're going to talk about what those mean in the context of FPL. We've got a lot of people questioning what to do about Salah. We've got a lot of people thinking about bringing in certain mid-priced mids because they might be getting rid of Salah. So people are thinking about bringing in a Mount or a Diaz or a Madison or even a Bowen. Where people are wondering kind of what to do with Richarlison because Everton have qualified now. So what do we do with Richarlison or Pickford or some Everton assets? And then for people who are chasing in their mini league or just chasing a spot in the top 10K and want to go for a Maverick, a Hail Mary, we're going to talk about some of those. So without further ado, let's move on.
Yeah, so I'll just kind of summarize the situation in the table, what different teams are fighting for right now. So the title race has gone right down to the wire. Man City have a significantly better goal difference than Liverpool with a 1-point lead. But Man City are playing a Villa team that we know could do damage potentially. So it's definitely not a game that they should just assume they'll win. And you've got to think that Liverpool are going to absolutely destroy Wolves just because Wolves have been a team on the decline for a couple months now. They're away from home, which is not good historically for them. And so if Liverpool win and City don't win, Liverpool will win the title. So there's going to be some great competition there. Moving down to the battle for fourth place, Arsenal have absolutely bottled their lead by losing to Spurs and Newcastle in their last two games. But they could, by a miracle, still get fourth place potentially. Spurs have a vastly superior goal difference to Arsenal, but Arsenal could beat Everton, and then Spurs could lose to Norwich, and Arsenal would get fourth place. But if those two things don't happen, then Spurs will finish in fourth. As an Arsenal fan, Timo Pukki, I need you to make yourself an Arsenal legend right now, okay? And then a little bit farther below that, there actually is still a very interesting battle for the second Europa League spot between Manchester United and West Ham. Manchester United are away to Palace. Definitely a game that you could see them dropping points. And West Ham are away to Brighton. West Ham have a much better goal difference, as you can see. So if West Ham were to beat Brighton and United does not win against Palace, then West Ham will get the last Europa League spot and Cristiano Ronaldo is going to be playing in the Europa Conference League. Anyways, let's move on to the relegation battle. So, Everton had a miraculous comeback against Palace the other day. Stormed the pitch, throwing flares everywhere. Fans trying to fight Patrick Vieira. Very amusing. But that means that they are no longer in the relegation battle as they have secured their safety for next season. So we're just looking at Burnley and Leeds United now. Burnley are playing Newcastle, who, as an Arsenal fan, I can attest that they are a team in form. So I probably wouldn't be expecting a result if I was a Burnley fan. So you're basically just banking on Leeds United to get battered by Brentford, which, you might be looking at this and being like, oh, Brentford are in 11th. They don't really have anything to play for anymore. It's not true. A few seasons ago, when Leeds and Brentford were both still in the championship, Leeds and Brentford were met in, I believe, a playoff game or one of the last games of the season. And Leeds United ended up getting promoted. And a bunch of their players posted on social media, like taunting the Brentford fans and the Brentford players about how they were still going to be in the championship. So I think the Brentford players are going to be ruining the chance to send those Leeds United players back to the championship.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jarrett. I think that will wrap up our analysis of the table coming into the last game week. And let's move on. So here we have our clean sheet odds. Of course, we have Chelsea, City, and Liverpool, and Tottenham all up there just because they have easy fixtures. We can include Arsenal in that bunch as well, I would say, because all 5 of these teams have pretty easy fixtures for this last week, so there's definitely potential for clean sheets. I know a lot of people still have 1 or 2 Liverpool defenders, 1 or 2 Chelsea defenders, and 1 or 2 City defenders. So we could definitely see some points coming from the defensive end, but we also know that game week 38 tends to be a relatively high-scoring game week. So it's also possible that most of our defensive points this week will come from attacking defenders like James or Cancelo or Trent. So any thoughts, Jarrett?
Yeah, as a double Chelsea, double Liverpool, and 1 City defender owner, I'm pretty excited. My only worry, especially for Chelsea in particular, would be defensive rotation, just because they don't really have anything to play for. But it's also the last game of the season. Might as well go out with a bang.
Yep, looking forward to it. Let's move on to our captain poll. Jared, do you want to cover the captain poll?
Yeah, sure. So if you are defending your rank and are comfortable with your position in your mini leagues, I think Son or Kane are obvious captain choices, just because they are playing the worst team in the league and trying to secure a 4th place finish. And they top the Fantasy Football Scout captain poll, as we can see here. Some other really good options are De Bruyne, trying to, City's best player, trying to secure a title for them. Saka could be a good pick. Playing an Everton side that don't really have anything to play for. Arsenal have to win to have a chance of finishing in the Champions League. Mount's another good option. Jamie Vardy's a good option, playing one of the worst defenses in the league, and we've seen that he's back from injury. He hasn't played full 90 minutes in either of the last 2 games either, so you'd expect him to probably start, and he could definitely haul. And obviously there are also going to be some great differential picks this week, such as other Liverpool midfielders, maybe a Brentford player, maybe even Jared Bowen, lots of options. Even a Chelsea defender, Reece James.
Absolutely. I think Reece James was next on this list after Vardy, and this list comes from Fantasy Football Scout, obviously. But I think, yeah, I agree with everything you said, Jarrett. And I think the only more specific question people might be asking is if they have a choice between Kane and Son, who do they go with? And I don't know about you, but I think it's as simple as if you have both of them, it's a question of whether you're chasing or holding your spot. Um, I think Son is the safe choice, and Kane is the maverick. I know that there's the argument that you should just captain whoever you think will get the most points, but I actually disagree with that when it comes to a game week 38 because I do think it's about a risk. It's whether you care more um, about potentially passing someone ahead of you in your mini league or getting a spot that's just as high as statistically expected. So
Yeah, 100%.
cool. Let's move on to our goal scorer odds this week. So yeah, we have here Rooney and Vardy's respective wives who are caught up in a trial right now, a libel court case. But we put this up here because Vardy is obviously high up on the goal scorer odds again after a good game week last week. He's looking like a definite potential transfer target for people this week, especially those who might be downgrading someone like Salah and upgrading one of their forwards, such as Richarlison or Weghorst. Vardy is in that price point of a potential upgrade. So, yep. We've also got Kane, obviously, up there on the list as always. Salah's up there, although there are doubts about him starting. Son is up there. Son is looking for the golden boot. And I know, Jarrett, you were talking um, the about Kane still being on penalties, despite Son in the race for top scorer this season. So I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I would say no real surprises here on the goal scorer odds. It's kind of the usual suspects. But yeah, I'm really hoping that those Spurs players don't actually score those goals.
Yeah, as you said, it could turn out many different ways. So yeah, let's have a look at your team for this week.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm going with my meta five at the back defense here, hoping that none of them get rotated. But I will probably plan on starting all five of those unless I get any news near the deadline. But my attack will probably not really look anything like this. I do think I'm going to get rid of Salah just because, there's so many fun things that you can do with your team if you do get rid of him this week. And I have a few options here. I could do the boring transfer of Salah to Son, which I do like my rank, and that could that could defend it. But it's also a game; it's meant to be fun, and I could potentially see some significant rank movement if I don't do that transfer and Spurs don't do well. So I could do something like Salah and Weghorst to one of Luis Diaz or Bowen and Jamie Vardy. That would be for a -4. But I think there's some big points potential there. Another transfer that I actually just thought of that I didn't even put on my list would be like Salah to maybe De Bruyne and Jesus to Vardy, which could be an interesting one as well, especially if I don't think Jesus is going to start. But yeah,
Yeah, I think your team is looking pretty good again. So, as you said, Jesus is a question. Um, Definitely getting rid of Salah, which is funny because I mean, if he's going to play, it is kind of a risk. You never know what he's going to do. Um, But yeah, I think your team is in good shape, and it really is a value question of whether you value your your rank or not. But yeah, in all seriousness, those -4s look really fun, and if I was you, um, I would probably go with the Diaz to Vardy choice personally,
Yeah,
but that's
yeah.
personal
I'll keep that in
preference.
mind. Let's take a look at your team.
All right. So this is mine. It looks like an okay team. My bench is horrible, so I need everybody here to play, which is not good. Um, but for the most part, I'm fairly happy with this as a starting 11. You know, Richarlison obviously is an eyesore here, just because I don't expect Everton to put up too much of a fight versus Arsenal. Then again, he is in good form, so I'm not too disappointed to have him sitting there. That being said, um, I am considering transferring out Zaha, who also is a little bit of a risk to transfer out, just because I could see Crystal Palace getting a result versus United. But I think what I'm really focusing on here is potential upside of who I would transfer in, which is Mount or Diaz, just because I think I can see, of all the games this this week, I think the three that are most likely to be explosive, as far as could be absolute routes, are the Spurs game, and then the Chelsea game, and the Liverpool game. The reason I put the Chelsea game in there, even though they don't need the win that bad, is just that Watford are in atrocious form right now and conceding goals left and right. And Mount is a player who has had several big hauls this season. He seems to either um, do nothing or get 23 points. So I could easily see myself bringing in Mount and backing a Mount feast this week, just with the potential to increase my rank because I've already dropped so low in the past few weeks. But
Yeah,
that's where I'm at.
definitely. Transferring out Zaha in a grudge match against his old club is definitely a tough decision to make, but I could definitely see it paying off. You also have a pretty significant captaincy dilemma on your hands here between Kane
Yeah.
and De Bruyne, especially. They both have everything to play for. They're both the talisman of their team, so you're gonna have a tough decision there as well.
Yeah, I fully agree. And I've already oscillated back and forth between the two. And right now, the only thing that's edging it for Kane for me is obviously knowing he's still on pens is nice, but also the fact that he's just a little bit higher in the raw predicted point stats for this week. I think Kane is at between 8 and 9 predicted points, whereas De Bruyne is between 6 and 7. So, and that's really not much of a difference, but it's kind of edging it for me right now. So,
Gotcha.
anyway, should be an exciting week. And with that, I think that wraps up our season as a new YouTube channel.
Wow. Wow. Everybody, make sure that you like the video. Maybe send the video to some of your friends. Maybe comment on it. We will interact with every comment on it. And also check us out on Instagram and Twitter at how_2FPL.
Absolutely. And also stick around this summer because we're going to be putting out videos even while there are no Prem games going on. We're going to have videos about strategy, about the upcoming season, potential changes to how everything works. So definitely keep an eye out for that. And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys, and we will see you in our next video.
Bye.